If you haven't heard, Anne Plus, the Dutch web series that follows a lesbian named Anne as she reflects back on her past relationships, is coming to the big screen. The big Netflix screen, that is, on February 11th. The giant streaming platform is releasing a feature-length movie about Anne and her life called Anne Plus the Film. One thing to note, I have no idea if I'm saying this title right. As we move forward in this emojified universe, I don't really know what it's gonna look like as they enter our TV show and movie titles, but that's what I'm calling it. I'm calling it Anne Plus. Are some people calling it Anne and? Because that would be hilarious. Have you heard of the series Anne and? Today I'm recapping episode 1 of the original series, which covers 2 of Anne's ex-flames, Lily and Hannah. This was a hard name for me too. The American in me really wanted to say Janna. Originally the show was available for free on YouTube, and I believe each episode was like 10 to 15 minutes, and each episode covered one ex. Now that they're on all these streaming platforms, they've grouped the episodes together. So like if you go on Amazon Prime, it shows that there's only 3 episodes, but I believe those 3 episodes are actually 6 episodes originally. And so everything's just like a little weird and a little discombobulated, but it's worth it because it's awesome content. We open up the episode right away with Anne running into her ex, Lily. They do a great job of portraying the awkwardness of running into an ex. I mean, it's bad enough just running into an ex, but running into an ex with their new significant other. You know how when somebody's telling really terrible jokes and your face like actually starts to hurt from the fake smile you keep at, and you're like, where's the punchline? It's so funny. That's what running into an ex with their significant other feels like. Just, it's like painful awkwardness. Of the 2 exes portrayed in this opening episode, Lily is by far the more boring ex, and it's the boringness of it all that I find totally relatable. On TV, I feel like relationships usually end because someone your best friend, or they their best friend, or you get it. Like, usually they end because someone they weren't supposed to be. But with Anne and Lily, we watch them as they slowly uncouple, which I find the concept of uncoupling fascinating. Suddenly, their nights out together aren't spent together, even if they are together. Anne's outside with her friends, Lily's somewhere else in the bar. Lily comes to tell Anne she's ready to go. Anne doesn't feel as tired as Lily and asks if she can stay. Of course, when you first start dating somebody, the idea of not going home together at the same time, isn't even up for discussion. There's this exciting expectation that, well, of course you're gonna go home together at the same time. How else are you gonna But what happens after you've and a little more, and so much you can't keep track of how much you've What happens when is no longer the end game for a couple? What do you do then? Well, in Anne's instance, she chooses to stay while her partner goes home. She gets a little tipsy, finds herself glancing around the bar, noticing who's noticing me. All clear signs that she's really no longer interested in being in a relationship with Lily. The interesting thing to me is that I think couples who make it experience this phenomenon too. It's just that they choose to stay together through it. Or maybe when this happens, the person who is Anne chooses to go ahead and go home with Lily. And there's just this sort of choice of this isn't necessarily what I want, but I'm gonna stay in this. Okay, is this what goes on in Amsterdam? Everybody just gets wasted and is out like, la, la, la. How shouldn't she have fallen and scraped her knee or something? I don't know how people ride their bike drunk. I can't do it. I just feel like I'm gonna die. You're out there with cars. And do the Dutch do this? Do I have any Dutch watchers? Anybody in Amsterdam? Is this normal? Everybody just gets wasted and rides their bike around? I mean, better than getting wasted and driving a car around. I'll say that. In one of the more fascinating parts of the episode, Anne is coming home on her bike from staying out drinking without Lily, and she's in this drunken blissfulness where she's leaving this funny, happy voicemail on Lily's phone. And then things switch and she crawls into bed and we see her just bawling her eyes out. And interestingly enough, we see that Lily hasn't noticed. Lily is sleeping through this. I am a light sleeper. I could not sleep through this. Could you sleep through this? I would immediately be like, oh my God, why are you bawling your eyes out, honey? What happened at the club? I can't even sleep through my own farts. So I don't know how people like Lily do that. When the next scene we watch is Anne breaking up with Lily, I can't help but assume this is why Anne was crying, because she knew that it was over between them.
Met Janna was alles anders. Het was spannend.
As I mentioned, really the more exciting of the two exes in this first episode is Hannah, a pill-popping party girl whose rave-attending lifestyle at first intrigues Anne, but subsequently creates a divide between the two of them. Anne narrates to us that she never really felt comfortable in Hannah's bubble, Hannah's world, and we watch as Hannah's friends rudely interrogate Anne about dating Hannah, who is a bisexual, and whether Anne feels like she can't compete because she doesn't have a penis. Does she worry she won't be able to fulfill Hannah without a penis? Oh God. I feel like these are the situations where some commenters like me would be like, oh, if I was in this situation, I would pull my boobies out and punch everybody with my boobs and then slap them all with my, and then I would turn around and I would fart on them. I'd be like, you're the worst. And I'd be like, done, mic drop. I just all you guys, like you uneducated. But really, I feel like when people are in these situations, we do what Anne does or what Hannah does, and we just kind of like, try to defend ourselves, but also like, I can't believe this is happening. And so I really loved this portrayal. It felt real. It felt accurate. Like, everybody joking around saying like rude, toxic ass. But like, we've got laughs and the drinks are flowing. By the way, that guy needs his kicked in. And then at one point, the rudest of Hannah's friends asks Anne to help him get drugs into the club. What's interesting about this ex, Hannah, is that there's so many red flags from an audience perspective, but in the show, Anne seems like genuinely surprised when she realizes Hannah's an too. Okay, and again, I feel like this is accurate. When you're dating somebody like Hannah, who, let's face it, is like hot as and they're wearing the cool white t-shirt and they've got the tats and they're like doing all the drugs, you're like, oh my God, no red flags. What red flags? I see no red flags, Sometimes it takes, being shook and being like, oh, you are the worst. Okay, we're gonna have to break up now, I just feel like this show is very realistic. And I have been missing that. I really, I'm not trying to turn this into a dog and just like that writer's sesh, but oh, come on. Like, God, this web series production that was, by the way, funded via crowdsourcing initially with season 1. Like, this is great content. This is a good show. As Anne tries to consult her heartbroken friend, who's just been broken up with, Hannah demonstrates she couldn't care less, asks if they can leave, and on the way out refers to Anne's friends as lame. Watching this scene, I wonder if the writers wanted us to see a little bit of projection on Hannah's end. Clearly, of the two of them, Anne has the better friend group. Not only are Anne's friends not rudely interrogating Hannah the way Hannah's friends did Anne, but also we're witnessing this very genuine, very vulnerable moment where two of them are consoling their friend, whereas with Hannah and her friends, it was superficial, toxic topics of discussion. In their breakup, we see a final huge red flag confirming that this is the right choice for Anne when Hannah, whose life clearly revolves around drugs, claims to have only taken one little silly pill, and obviously the audience knows Hannah's full of conclusion. In both instances of Anne reflecting back on these two relationships, I felt a really good sense of resolve at the end of the episode. After watching a whole season of And Just Like That, this 20-minute episode was just so refreshing. Things made sense. It was real, it was relatable, it was just so nice to watch. I think what I love about this show the most is the lesbian of it all. It's just so... This feels like it happened. It feels like whoever wrote this is just telling us their biographical history of their dating life. And I just feel like it's so real. And I didn't realize how much I missed that realness. Like, you know, they say people watch movies to escape and TV to relate. This was just probably the most relatable lesbian show I've watched just in a really long time. It's just so grounded and relatable, and that's something that has been missing from a lot of the content I've been reviewing lately. So if you enjoyed this recap, let me know. I could do some more episodes. There's 2 whole seasons of Anne's Exes, but I really just wanted to dabble in the series before the big movie comes out this Friday. Either way, let me know. By the way, if you're looking for a place to watch the episodes on, I signed up for a trial of Topic, which is like some new streaming platform. There's a million of them now. Can't keep up. There's 8 bazillion streaming platforms. Originally, I believe the episodes were available on YouTube, but at least in America, that's not the case. Or I'm just really dumb and couldn't find them on YouTube. But the show is available to watch on Channel 4 if you're in the UK. And like I said, I did Topic via Amazon Prime if you're not in the UK. All right, so let me know what you think of the series, whether you've heard of it or watched it before, or if you have, what you think of it, and whether you're excited about the movie coming out this Friday. All right, as ever, I'm Amanda. This is my Really Gay YouTube channel, and I'll see you next video.